Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be episode 249 for you guys today. And to kick off this week's episode, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the New York Knicks. Can the New York Knicks make it out of the Eastern Conference and head to the NBA Finals this NBA season? So yesterday, I asked you guys on our Instagram polls were the New York Knicks contenders or pretenders, and 78% of you guys on our Instagram polls believe that the New York Knicks are pretenders this NBA season. Now, I do think highly of the New York Knicks. I do think this is a team that can get to the NBA Finals, do that for the first time in their franchise's history since 1999 when they played the San Antonio Spurs. It's been a long time, but that'd be a huge accomplishment for Knicks fans if they can at least get to the dance this NBA season. I do believe the New York Knicks are contenders. They just came off an impressive 25-point victory Sunday against the San Antonio Spurs that were undefeated in the month of February. They defeated them at Madison Square Garden, big home victory. Now, the only problem I have for the New York Knicks here is I have full belief that they could get to the NBA Finals. There's just too many road bumps in the road for them right now in the Eastern Conference. Because you look at how they stacked up against the best teams. They have a combined record of 4 wins, 5 losses against the best Eastern Conference teams out there. I'm talking about the Detroit Pistons, the Boston Celtics, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have struggled against this NBA season. And what happens if the Boston Celtics, as red hot as they've been, they've overachieved all year long, and Jaylen Brown has clearly shown that he's going to be a true number one scoring option, could win his first MVP award this NBA season. What happens if they get Jason Tatum back in the lineup? They get even more dangerous, and I don't think this New York Knicks team can handle the Boston Celtics this time around. What if the chemistry between Donovan Mitchell and James Harden continues to grow in Cleveland? Because they've been really good since acquiring James Harden, and he seems like he's unlocked how to use the bigs in Cleveland of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And the Knicks have been blown out 3 out of 4 times against the Detroit Pistons this NBA season, a team that they eliminated in the first round last year. This is alarming, and they've gotten swept by the Detroit Pistons this year. It's like Kate Cunningham and company are the co-owners of the New York Knicks this NBA season. So I think those roadblocks of the best teams in the East are concerning to me if the New York Knicks can hang with these teams in a 7-game series. And then they have also been inconsistent on the road, which is alarming to me. They've been 15-14 on the road as I record this segment. It seems like they're missing that gritty style of Tom Thibodeau that he used to have this team playing gritty basketball. They were motivated on a nightly basis. It seems like they're missing that type of spark this NBA season, which is not a good sign in a loaded Eastern Conference with teams that have potential to just get better weeks before the NBA playoffs. So I think they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're a top 5 offense under Mike Brown, and he uses the rotation a lot, something that Tom Thibodeau didn't do, which led to players being fatigued as the playoffs and the regular season went on. But if you cannot play defense, if you cannot be consistent on the road, how can you separate yourselves from the other top-tier heavyweight contenders in the Eastern Conference? How can you consider yourself as a true contender as we're a month or so away from the NBA playoffs? So there's a lot of questions here for the New York Knicks that need to be answered very soon. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon here. I do believe that they are contenders. They've accomplished a good amount of things. I mean, they won the NBA Cup tournament this year. They've shown that they can be consistent. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're a top 3, top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. It's just when I shared that combined record of their play against the Pistons, the Celtics, and the Cavs, that is alarming. And their road record is very alarming because you're going to have to play road games in a 7-game series. It's not like the NFL where you could just have home court advantage if you're the number 1 seed, 2 seed throughout the playoffs. No, you got to travel. And they got to be more consistent on the defensive side of the ball. They're missing that. And they were a more gritty team on the defensive side of the ball with Tom Thibodeau last year. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered for the New York Knicks. But there is something I do want to address before I end this segment. One thing you got to ask yourself if you're a New York Knicks fan here is if Mikal Bridges, is worth it. Let me say that again because I got tongue-tied and said the wrong name. You got to ask yourself if you're a New York Knicks fan here, is Mikal Bridges worth it? Because he could be one of the reasons why the New York Knicks cannot get over the hump anytime soon in the Eastern Conference and get to the first NBA Finals since 1999. I mean, the value that you gave up for Mikal Bridges, you gave up 5 first-round picks to acquire Mikal Bridges 2 years ago. And you look at this New York Knicks roster, he's currently the 5th best player, a part of this New York Knicks roster. So you gave up 5 first-round picks 2 years ago to acquire your 5th best player, a part of the roster. It's not going to add up. And teams like the Suns, when they traded away Kevin Durant this summer, they didn't even get that type of trade compensation for Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers of all time, late 30s or not. He's still a dynamic player in this league. When the Dallas Mavericks traded away Luka Doncic, a top 5 player in the league, not even 26 years of age yet, they didn't even get this type of draft compensation for Luka Doncic. So don't get me wrong, Mikal Bridges is a solid player. He plays every night. He's the Iron Man of the NBA, doesn't miss any action. He's a good defender, but for the cost that you gave up for him, he's not an all-star player. He's not a first-team player. And if the New York Knicks cannot get over the hump, you got to point the finger at the front office for even doing this trade of trading away 5 future first-round picks to acquire Mikal Bridges when you could have used that for a player like Giannis or a superstar player out there that you could have paired up with Jalen Brunson in New York with the New York Knicks. So this trade could come back to haunt them, but I feel like with teams getting better in the Eastern Conference, like the Boston Celtics, once they get Jason Tatum back, it could be game over in the East. We know the chemistry they had. The Detroit Pistons ain't going nowhere. They're just getting much better, and they're aging day and night to be a veteran team in this league. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going to continue to get better. They've gotten better since acquiring James Harden. I think the Toronto Raptors are going to definitely be in the mix very soon. They're already a top 5 team in the East. But with Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and company, they're going to get much better. And the Indiana Pacers, they'll get Tyrese Halliburton back next year. They were just in the NBA Finals a year ago. I don't know how the New York Knicks can get better in this type of situation. You're stuck here with Mikal Bridges. And if you try to get a superstar player, who are you going to give up? Karl Anthony Towns? Does that really benefit the team moving forward? It's just like, I don't know what the New York Knicks are supposed to do if they can't get over the hump this NBA season. Because they're going to have some question marks and have to consider moving some pieces during the offseason to get better. Because everybody in the East is going to get better. But them, they'll just be stuck in first gear. So it's just like, I don't know what you could do, but 5 first-round draft picks, looking back at it 2 years ago, was it really worth it if they could never get to the NBA Finals with this type of core and talent that they have right now in New York? So you got to ask yourself that if you're a New York Knicks fan. But those are my thoughts on the New York Knicks, if they're contenders or pretenders, and if they can make it out of the Eastern Conference this NBA season.